basins in many churches, monasteries, dishes for eating. These were usually places when you need to. Authorities if it's a Christian tomb. And this is out of respect for the religion. Started to flourish after the time of Christ, precisely from the south.
We are here moved a little bit to the Byzantine times.
During the Byzantine period, imagine tens of thousands of people from southern Spain, France, North Africa. Speaking today, 2017, we have two aspects. There's the good news, which say that today we can reconstruct very accurately many aspects on the daily life of the time of Christ. We could follow the steps of Christ by archaeological finds. The bad news, or not bad, not so good news, are that so far we don't have evidence for the real Christ, for the physical Christ. You have to remember there's one person among about 1 million people living in the Holy Land during this time. In the Holy Land in the Byzantine period, watch the highest that we can prove, because we have all the documentation of 30,000 sites on within the state of an ancient tomb, even Jewish one, and you must. The fame of Jesus developed by his followers after his death. During his life, there was nothing special in him, except for the fact that he was a kind of a trigger of a much wide and large movement. But he was a young Jew from the Galilee with very interesting ideas for his time, who was traveling along the country. So it's very difficult to follow archaeologically the traces of one person traveling from the Galilee to the River Jordan and to Jerusalem, although he is mentioned briefly by Josephus Flavius, for example. But if you go to archaeology, when you open the land to find evidence of a single person who was not a king, an emperor, a priest, or somebody which were much knowledge by the people, this is very difficult. We know much more details about the daily life during the time of Christ, and we can reconstruct today very accurately, actually following the steps of Christ from his birth till crucifixion, from Bethlehem till the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. And we are doing this with hundreds of excavations which relate to sites, cities, villages, installations from the time of Christ. We can show precisely the shape of the villages around the Sea of the Galilee, in the Jerusalem area, along the River Jordan. Artifacts, both for study collection or for exhibitions. So the reason is not to keep intensive on Jews.
No.
So you have the style, which, if you take it from the perspective of world history, it goes to one person, the Emperor Constantine, and then his mother Helena, who came to the Holy Land as the first pilgrim. But that was a long process, which started with the death of Christ, very few followers, but it was developed along the 2nd and 3rd century, and from the 4th century onward, you have Christianity as part of the imperial policy, which means building churches in the Holy Land. It's not only a religious venture, it's a much more political imperial policy. If you add to this the large number of pilgrims that started coming to the Holy Land from the 4th century, particularly in the 5th, 6th and early 7th century, then it goes also into a very large-scale economic boom. Because pilgrims, like tourists of today, they bring money.
How much is coming in new artifacts?
This one's focused, so it's either Mauritius or Justinianus.